Previously on Tim's Garage, you would have noticed that I probably wrecked my car pretty nicely. The MPS6 had a boost leak, which we've previously diagnosed as being the cause of the engine. Put too much boost through the engine and bent 3 of the 4 rods. The only way to fix this was to remove the engine, pull it apart, and rebuild it from scratch. And so sit back and watch this episode of Tim's Garage as you see the process of taking this to the engine builders and how we got it ready to be built. G'day. I am nervous, I gotta say. This is one of those times when I am nervous. The reason being that I'm on the way to the machinists, the guys that are gonna, gonna tell me if my engine is good or not, if the cores, the sleeves of where the pistons go are reusable, to see just how badly scored they are when the rods were bent and the pistons started moving up and down unaligned, and they scratched and wore and made that weird knocking noise and actually did the damage. We're about to find out if that block is usable or not, or if I need to think about something else. Just left the engine machinist dudes, the reconditioners. Really nice bunch of guys there. What I really like about places when you go there for the first time is if they actually don't treat you like an idiot because you don't know stuff and are willing to actually teach and give you advice. These guys were really nice, ridiculously knowledgeable, which is probably what you want when you're getting them to do your engine. But yeah, they talked us through it. Long story short, the block is usable. That is salvageable, but it's a pretty deep mark, so they're going to have to take off 0.5 of a mil. And what that means is by taking off 0.5 of a mil, they're now in the territory of oversized pistons. And so the choices are now, do I go that way and get oversized pistons and essentially turn into a bigger cubic car, bigger litre kind of thing, or I don't know. There's a bit of, still got lots of questions about all this. With a bit more research and a couple other trips to the engine builders, we decided that the size of the pistons needed were 88mm, which are quite easily purchased from stores over in America. So we didn't need to get custom ones made up. So we jumped on the internet, looked up New Age Auto Parts, and sent Nate a huge list of things that we need to get this car done and up to scratch. And Nate really hooked us up. access to our power steering unit, this bracket, this entire unit really, once you put the HDI front mount intercooler kit on, there's not a lot of space around about this area. And so because we have access to this bolt especially, and because I can actually reach this bracket, I'm going to remove this bracket and just cut some little divots in there so I can actually move this back about maybe half a centimetre, which is 5 mil, maybe a bit more, which is about like 1/4 of an inch-ish, something like that. Pretty rough. I'm not going to actually measure anything. There's a little bit of play on the hoses, so generally I just push that hose back because it sort of sits there, so bend that out of the way just by hand generally when I do that, but yeah. So in preparation we're running some wires. So I've run 2 quite large grommets through the firewall, and we've got a massive spaghetti of wires coming through there. That's going to be used a little bit later, but at the moment I'm looking at some gauges. So I'm getting my boost gauge, water temp, oil pressure, and I've got an exhaust temp gauges that are going to go inside the car. It's a lot of gauges. Is that overkill? Absolutely. Am I going to do it anyway? Absolutely. It's going to look like the inside of an aeroplane, but that's okay. If you have an access port, some of those things aren't as needed, but just because of, I actually want to be able to do some track days and stuff, so I want to be able to access that a little bit easier, and so that means that I want to be able to quickly glance at a gauge and see, rather than looking at a bunch of numbers on a screen, I can just glance at the gauge and see if it's in the red or not. So that'd be great. Plus I already have the gauges, so I'm going to use it. Well, today's the day, going to pick up the engine from the engine builders. Oh. So pretty happy about that. It's been about 5 or 6 weeks since I dropped the engine off, and it's taken that long mostly because I didn't have parts, and so they can't build what they don't have. So most of it came from New Age Auto Parts. You can see those unboxing videos. There was a handful of things that came from other shops. Bushes and bearings and a few little things that I had to source from other places. Nate basically did the entire build, but there's just a couple of minor things that he wasn't able to source for me. But once again, Nate went above and beyond. I sent him this ridiculously huge list, and he was able to source pretty much everything. So eternally grateful. Thanks guys, thanks New Age for looking after us. So we've gotten all our pieces together after realizing that there'd be one piece missing and having to order it again, and then it takes a week or 2 to get in, and then it finally gets in. You go, yay! And got it all down. Had to do another 2 trips because I forgot a part to bring down, so I've been doing back and forwards to those guys. I think it was excuse me, what day? Monday or Tuesday of this week I dropped in the final pieces. I think that was this week. It's been busy, and I just got a call today, and it's Friday, so it took them a week to get everything done. Yeah, it's been a week for them to, once they got all the pieces, to do all the work that I wanted done. They and we'll get to see what they've done in a bit, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. We're off to to go and get our engine, which is good. Yay. Wow.